Hello guys, my name is Oleg. So this is a update video about Windows 95 Retro Gaming PC. Last time I rebuilt this computer for a 30th anniversary, even though it's late, to make a gaming experiences and having nostalgia trips in mid-90s to late 90s, as how Windows 95 was sticking around and how popular this operating system was. So, as I promised, it's time to add some upgrade and add some parts. So here is some parts. An audio cable for a sound card and CD drive, a Intel Pentium 2 300 MHz processor, which is a Klamath core, and another one stick of 128 megabyte SD-RAM. Alright, so firstly is the audio cable. This audio cable is actually meant for a CD drive that is a IDE, which it has a analog plug it in, which it can allows to plug it in between the SD drive and the sound card, which the 4 pins for a CD in, which allows you to listen to some CDDA musics in the computer with the speakers. So yeah, and it also has like lock-in, which some audio cables that have for a CD drive and sound card. Before they are useless for a new DVD drive and sound card, of course. Next is the processor. This is a Intel Pentium 2 300 MHz Klamath core. Yep, this is what this processor looks like. Looks like an expansion cards, which however what I just call the cartridge. So this processor is designed for a only slot 1. Not only that, but there was AMD Athlon and some sort of Pentium 3, which is the earlier before a new core in the 2000s, and the others. So yeah, will be likely the new upgradable CPU, which it will make it faster, even better with the games and applications. The 300 MHz is probably the final and last speed processors for a Klamath core of Pentium 2 before a new core just dropped in. And of course, this right here also has a fan that is attached to the processor so that it will prevent the overheating to a processor. And lastly is a one stick of 128 megabytes of SD-RAM DDR1. Yeah, this is probably gonna be another 128 megabytes of SD-RAM for this PC, so that will make a 256 megabytes of RAM. So which will be good enough, at least, for a games and programs to run. Alright, now that I have everything that I have for this PC, it's time to open and upgrade the CPU and add the one stick of memory and an audio cable. Alright, so I flip it carefully into horizontal so that I could actually make it comfortable to add some memories, upgrade the CPU, and add the audio cable. Okay, so I unscrewed the power supply and move it to this right here so I can comfortable to add something. Alright, now it's time to replace the CPU. So, how do I actually have to eject it and replace it? It's very simple. First, I have to disconnect the fan connector that is connected to the motherboard. So, ejecting it goes easily. All I have to do is pull it between these two lockers side in this processor, like this. Alright, and then take it out from the motherboard. Out of motherboard, I say. Yep, that is very simple. Yeah, and of course you can see these serial numbers and like the details. Alright, so here is the fastest processor, like the last speed processors from Klamath core. Alright, so inserting it goes easy. Just put this right here, correct position. Alright, insert it like this, insert like this, and lock it like this. Alright, and don't forget to connect the fan right here. Oops, I forgot about it. Okay, I forgot to like take out the fan connector. There we go. Next is the RAM. So I'm going to add it to the second slot of this RAM one, which is, yep, of course, that it will actually fit the SD-RAM. So adding the another 128 megabyte of SD-RAM DDR1, which it will totally have 256 megabyte. So yeah, just for a better running the programs and games. And lastly is a audio cable. Alright, so the sound card actually goes into the CDN, which it says right here. So we actually have to like plug it in this. Okay. And we have, okay. And we need to plug it into the CD drive, which this right here goes to the analog in it. Alright. I think it's done. Now it's time to power it on and test it out. Oh, I'm feeling nervous to see if that actually works. Alright, let's check it out. Let's power it on. Okay. Okay, so this right here is 191 megabytes, but okay, so 233 megahertz still right here. That's weird. I thought I added a 300 megahertz Intel Pentium 2. Maybe I'll go check the BIOS menu. Okay, so for the RAM, 256 megabytes is actually detecting, which is the RAM is basically works. But the CPU is like 233 megahertz still though. This processor is weird. Well, I definitely go check into the BIOS. Okay, so basically I just found out how to do it. So I basically changed the jumpers to configuration in this motherboard, and it actually goes to configuration mode, and I select the processor speed to 300 megahertz because this processor that I replaced, it has a 300 megahertz totally in this processor. So I selected out 200 megahertz. So, and I actually have to be careful with the speed of processors. Might be otherwise have to like lower like 266 megahertz for this processor. But yeah, that was good. So this processor which it was used, it was a 233 megahertz of the Intel Pentium 2. According to the retro web, yep, it has a 233 megahertz frequencies, bus speed 66 megahertz. Yeah, it has an L2 cache, core Klamath. Yeah, it is indeed, and something like a power voltage 2.8 V. On this processor, which I'm using it like upgrading to the 300 megahertz, yeah, it is what serial number is. And which is that it has a 300 megahertz frequency, so I just set into the 300 megahertz processor speed so that it should be as it was recommended. So yeah, just make sure to choose the like exactly frequency speed of the processors. Otherwise, well, if you put more than frequencies that if this processor like actually needs, but it will actually damage. So do not recommend it to put it like higher frequencies if your processor does not have enough speed of this. So as you guys can see, when I change the jumpers to configuration mode, it actually selected me to choose the processor speed, which is this processor like SL2MZ. If you actually like looking inside this processor, like, okay, wait, let me just flash it. Okay, so let me just okay, if you see the SL2MZ Philips in this processor Intel Pentium 2, that's the 300 megahertz of Intel Pentium 2, which it is of course the specs of the SL2MZ. And it is probably like it depends on the microprocessor Intel Pentium that you just purchased and use it the Intel Pentium 2 processors that you've installed on this computer. Right now, so I have the SL2MZ, which is 300 megahertz of Intel Pentium 2. So for the processor speed, I'm selecting the 300 megahertz as that's what it recommends. And yes, be careful like putting the higher megahertz like frequencies to the greater than its rated values that will actually damage the processor. So me and you guys have to be extra careful to setting up the processor speed. And yes, it's pretty much me difference that I didn't actually know about it. So yeah. Alright, so it is now 300 megahertz, which I added the SL2MZ processor of this Intel Pentium 2 into this PC, which yeah, it does support the 300 megahertz. So I added the 300 megahertz of Intel Pentium 2, which it is now can be faster to programs, games, and much more. Memories I added, it is now 256 megabytes, which RAM frequency is 66.7 megahertz frequencies. Yep, and the audio cable should be installed. So I'm just gonna try out to install the CD audios. But this better not be like a copyrighted music or something like, I don't know, that we will actually like gonna like let YouTube like listening to the music that we're gonna try it. So yeah, let me just try to find the CD audios to play with it. Okay, I'm going to try testing the audio cables, for example, Shadow Warrior. Yeah, that classic old FPS games from 3D Realms, the creator of Duke Nukem 3D. So yeah. Alright, let's check it out and see if the audio cables will actually work. Alright, it is now works perfect. Alright, nice. Alright, since I upgraded the CPU to 300 megahertz and if it is supported, added the RAM, which is 256 megabytes in total by 2 sticks of 128 megabytes, and added the audio cables for sound card and CD drives to listen to some musics. Now I can finally testing the Quick 3 Arena, which is probably like a recommended spec. So let's try it out. Alright, surely this works, so let's check it out. Okay, so the 300 megahertz is now faster than 223 megahertz of the CPU previously that I used it. So yeah, let's test it out and see the gameplay of this things that since I've upgraded the CPU and RAM added to 256 megabytes, and yeah, probably. So yeah, let's check it out. Let's test it out. Okay, I must say that this CPU is much better for games than the previous CPU that I've used. And the RAM is basically all good for the games. Alright, fascinating. Now let's try out the Half-Life. For sure that will make it faster than, you know.
Security and convenience of the
Alright,
research facility
again,
personnel.
it's much better.
The
Better than
time
ever.
is 8:47 a.m. Current.
I also forgot to mention about the graphics card drivers. So the previously drivers that I installed was like, I don't know, it's pretty much newer, like early 2000s than this graphics card, which it was like AGP supported not available, which is outdated. But I just found that this exactly drivers, it is now working completely, which it is all enabled, that is directed draw, directed 3D, and AGB support. Yep, it was like I found the drivers exactly, which is from the Quick Fee Arena when I tried to install the GL setup. The GL setup actually recognized it and detecting the 3D accelerator, which is ATI Ridge 128 Pro. And if you look at this name, it is a Xpert 2000 Pro AGB4X. So yeah, that is definitely the name of the graphics card. So yeah, but other than that, it works for now. It now works perfectly. Also, here is a extra thing for this video. So I installed the Microsoft Plus for Kids, which this product is designed for a kids to use any programs like Painted, which it is obviously like lots. It's actually like a more useful stuffs and lots of fonts than the regular Paint. Yeah, the sound, the like more equipment tools, and lots of more. Picture pick, which is you can actually pick the pictures and just you can copy or I don't know, X or probably like that. There is the desktop themes, which is you can customize the themes just like Microsoft Plus for Windows, but there is like many more. Also, fun fact, like these themes, which is baseball, jungle, space, and underwater is basically using it for Windows 98 and Windows ME as a desktop themes that is like included in the installation of Windows 98 and Windows ME. Except like any of these, which is like pretty much it is for kids themes. There is a Play It, which it is like interactive piano MIDI synthesizers that you can obviously recording it your songs, play it, open the songs, which it is from a sample songs that is pre-installed in this software. You can save your song, you can change the style, you can change the groove, key, major, tempo, band, and many more. It's basically like fun to make music. Next is a Talk It, which is basically like a text-to-speech voices that you can obviously like text-to-speech, like typing like any text, you can talk it to it. You can actually customize the voices like personalities, changing the speed, changing the pitch, changing the quality of pitch, changing the languages, which there are 2 languages available, like English and Spanish. And there's the vocal effort, which it is changing the vocals as if you choose it, like normal, breathy, and whispers. Yep. Recognizing this thing, if you're listening to this in like late 2000s, then you'll probably remember this music's from. And lastly is a protected, which is the parental controls for a Internet Explorers, so that you can protect your children's for internet websites, like restricted any websites that is not suitable for a children's, like adult websites, like any advertisement websites, like I don't know, spammers or something like stuff. So yeah, it's actually like a safety internet for a children. So that's it. That is why protected needs is for a like setting the parental controls on the Internet Explorer. Alright, I suppose that's it. So that was a updated videos about Windows 95 Virtual PC that I upgraded the CPU to 300 MHz and if it supported the Intel Pentium 2, added the one stick of 128 MB SD RAM, which it is totally 256 megabytes of the RAM in this PC, and added the audio cables for CD drive and sound card to listening the CDDA recordable audio music. So anyways, thank y'all guys for watching, like and subscribe, whatever you want, and see you guys later. Goodbye.